I'm Tom Campbell from Cultaholic.com, joined by the eternal sunshine of the spotless Adam Pacitti.
I'll
Adam,
take it.
We've had a whole night together, me, thee, and Jack, haven't we?
Oh, it started off fantastically with that opening match on the main card, and then, well, we'll get to it. It's been a long one, and despite winning the predictions contest, finally...
Despite me losing the predictions
Despite you
contest.
losing the predictions contest, I'm the one doing the punishment. You can check out the reactions video and see why. Hell in a Smell 2, it's coming! Roll the headlines.
Major fan backlash following Hell in a Cell. A huge WWE Championship match reportedly revealed for Crown Jewel. And we have an update on Jeff Hardy following his DWI, and we'll get to that later on. So just a few hours ago, Hell in a Cell wrapped up an interesting show, I think forgotten by Vince McMahon.
Until the start of the show. 4 matches announced like 2 hours before it started. What the hell is going on?
It's almost like they had a whole week of premieres and wars and returns and debuts, and their eye was off the ball with this one. Certainly felt off the ball in the main event.
It certainly did. So we're going to avoid talking about the results for the rest of the matches, but it's pretty unavoidable here. If you want to know what happened, go and check out what happened. It's on the channel right now.
So we're about to talk about what happened in the main event between Seth Rollins and The Fiend. So if you don't want to know...
Skip forward a little bit.
That way.
Right, it started off cool, right? Red lights. You might have seen it by now. It looked awesome.
I liked it.
And then Seth Rollins hit finisher after finisher after finisher after finisher after finisher. We'll skip right to the end. He got a sledgehammer out. The Fiend is under a mass of various weapons.
He basically buried the Fiend in home base. Buried the Fiend in home base and then had the sledgehammer.
Yeah, the referee's going, no, don't do it, despite the fact that Bray Wyatt's already used a big hammer, but this hammer's not okay. Anyway, bang, the ref throws the match out. The match has ended in a no contest, which I predicted correctly. However, I didn't. Oh, I don't know. It's ludicrous, isn't it? The whole thing. This has done no favours for Seth Rollins at all. It's an incredibly flat ending.
Absolutely not.
He looks like a dick now. The Fiend, it's not the way that I wanted to see him, just laid out for the last 5 minutes of the match. And fans are not happy either. They were chanting AEW at the end. We want refunds at the end. They were chanting everything.
There was just ferocious amounts of boos across the venue. And every time in the last few moments of the match, every time that Seth Rollins was taking down the Fiend, it was just the loudest boos you've ever heard. And as soon as the Fiend popped back up, massive cheers. Like you'd almost. I mean, I don't know, we don't really live in this era of wrestling anymore, but you'd almost call an audible on something like that maybe, or if you can't, then at least you go away from that experience and go, maybe we've misjudged this.
Yeah.
Maybe. And the annoying thing is, and we talked, and I said this on the reactions, this, like, if the issue was, we don't know how to end this match between Seth Rollins and The Fiend properly, we don't know how to end it. Here's the thing. Here's the mind-blowing thing. You didn't need to have this match at all.
Put themselves into a corner. There was no win, was there? Here?
No. Why?
Seth is going to get booed out of the building on Raw tomorrow night. And I feel sorry for him, to be honest, because it wasn't his fault. That wasn't his idea. He just went along with what was planned. X-Pac was on WWE's reactions, and he said when this happened, when it wasn't clear if it was a DQ or a no contest or what, literally shouted you might not have me on again after I say this, but how the hell do you get DQ'd in a freaking Hell in a Cell match?
And he's absolutely right.
Well, they ruined this stipulation totally, and I don't want to just sit here and whinge, but this was completely tone deaf. It was a complete misunderstanding of the audience in what has been a very, very important week in professional wrestling as a whole. Not a nice way to finish the night. It's completely put a damper on the rest of the pay-per-view. Not that it was an amazing pay-per-view, but there were good matches there. This is all people are going to talk about.
I think any good matches on that pay-per-view were good despite the pay-per-view. Because it was such a forgotten entity in the whole week that WWE has had that this deserved to be a bomb. It genuinely did, because they put no real care into this. It was almost what was the word I said, banter? It was almost arrogant to have a 3-match show like this and nothing else, and then go, oh, by the way, here's the rest of the matches. And so the matches were good, but despite WWE's best efforts on that one.
Nick Jackson took to Twitter after this happened, and he just, a very, very simple tweet. He just said, AEW Dynamite is every Wednesday night. Good PR for AEW, so
excellent.
Good
PR
job, Vince.
AEW. Talking of endings that made us go, we had one of them on Friday as well, didn't we? Adam Pacienti's SmackDown debuted on Fox, and
we did. It's deflating, to say the very least.
I still feel Sam talked about it.
I still feel really sorry for Kofi, even more so now. And the thing that I've been sort of dwelling on here is with Brock Lesnar as the champion, and I think that's something that a lot of us saw coming, but I'm really upset that we will now once again have a champion who doesn't really care about being champion. Like, whether or not you liked Kofi, maybe some people thought his run was getting a bit tiresome, at least he was proud to be champion.
He was passionate about being our champion.
The match that is reportedly being set up for Crown Jewel is one that doesn't appeal to me at all. I understand the crossover mainstream appeal of this happening. It's a fairly obvious one. The plan is, right now, it's not for Survivor Series, it's for Crown Jewel. It's Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez for the WWE title. And to me, that's the really frustrating part here. It's because it doesn't need to have that. It doesn't need to be a title match. It would have been a big enough thing without that. And oh man, it's a weird, this week, especially after SmackDown and then tonight, I just sort of feel like, maybe this isn't for me.
This is it for me.
Maybe this is being, it's catered to a different audience that isn't us. Do you know what I mean?
Thanks everybody, goodbye.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Here's Barry.
It sounds like I'm being so
I don't.
negative.
I hear what you're saying. The sides have changed, the parameters have changed a lot, and you guys talked about the Kofi thing a lot. I just very want to say, in my opinion, very quickly, Kofi unfortunately was a victim of circumstance in the sense that SmackDown is becoming very much a sports-led program, and as much as I love Kofi Kingston, he very much fits more on an entertainment-esque brand. Don't be shocked if he goes to Raw. He fits well there. But with the SmackDown, they want to build it around like sports guys. That's seen by a few other notable people that were at SmackDown that night, and a few other rumors of call-ups and stuff like that. And I guess that Brock and Cain Velasquez fits that sports mantra that Friday Night SmackDown's going to follow. So yeah, we are kind of... it's not really catering to us. I don't know whether the Tom and Adam of Young coming into wrestling now would bite on the idea of a UFC match in the WWE. I don't know.
It sort of leads on to the next story in me saying that maybe this isn't for me, because it's another guy with huge mainstream appeal that I don't know a great deal about, but I know a lot of people will, and that's cool. And this comes via Alex McCarthy from TalkSport. Tyson Fury obviously got involved in an altercation on Friday Night SmackDown with Braun Strowman, and the plan is it's going to be Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury at Crown Jewel also.
Yeah.
And there you go. And I mean, that makes sense, seeing what happened. I won't spoil the result in case you've not seen it, but with Braun Strowman tonight, he has got what looks to be like the Big Show WMD, you love it, style finish. He's hitting people with that, and that seems to be very effective. So that all sort of makes sense. Tyson Fury will appear on Raw tonight now to address what happened on SmackDown, and apparently that's going to be sort of rushed as well and do it in Saudi Arabia.
But again, Tyson Fury is a guy that fits that mantra for Friday Night SmackDown. I think I said this a few times over the weekend. Tyson Fury, away from his quite ugly opinions on some matters and a few things that have come to light about him. If you strip that away, you've got a guy who is a fighter and he's got experience on a live mic. He's a kind of born WWE style sports entertainer. So he would actually fit well on a regular basis on this new Friday Night SmackDown, which I think is what this is. It's a new Friday Night SmackDown.
I'll be really interested to see what the viewing figures are like for this upcoming one. Obviously, they're going to be lower because it's not the season premiere and all that. But I'll be really interested. Following what happened tonight, and I don't know. We'll
it's
see.
A weird one, isn't it?
It's a draft episode, isn't it?
Because it's basically 2 weeks of admin from here on. But it's a weird one because this time last week we sat here on the precipice of this massive week in wrestling, this game-changing week in wrestling, and it's funny how a few decisions over two shows can kind of make us go, I'm not sure now. It's almost like we wanted to come into this week, and partly because we've been up for 20 plus hours, but we kind of wanted to come into this week and go, whoa, here we go, boom, new wrestling, let's do a thing. But I very much like with the stuff from the Fiend tonight and the direction of Brock and Cain Velasquez, I'm kind of going, oh.
That's it. It's difficult to know if this is tiredness or not, but I feel sort of burned out in a very different way. In that, like, I was gutted about the Kofi thing. I was gutted that it's just going to set up Kane versus Brock. Gutted about the booking of the Fiend tonight because it was so foolish. I don't know.
What we can confirm is, though, that Mojo Rawley is still very much under contract with WWE.
And he's not Sami Zayn. Did you see that? Sami with 2 M's and a Y. Mojo, I love you.
Love you, Mojo. And finally, an update on Jeff Hardy. You may have heard over the weekend that Jeff Hardy found himself on the wrong side of the law once again after he was arrested following a DWI in North Carolina. And based on WWE's wellness policy and how that stands, this in theory should be it for Jeff Hardy, Adam.
Sure, but this has sort of been addressed by Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Radio, and I'm just going to read the quote word for word here. They're never going to fire someone for 3 strikes, you know now. I mean, it's not just going to happen. They, not have a 3rd strike, so they're not going to issue him a 3rd strike, basically. And this comes down to, once again, the competition with AEW, because they know that obviously AEW would just snap Jeff up like that. Matt's contract comes to the end, I believe, at the sort of front end of 2020 as well, and you've got to believe that they're going to want to keep hold of Matt, but Jeff would absolutely go there without a doubt if WWE let him go. That's not going to happen. Matt has commented on Jeff's situation with the following tweet. I love my brother and want him to be healthy. I've expressed that to him as much as I can. Jeff has to make a decision about his own life. I have to focus on my 2 boys and soon to arrive son. I can only control my actions. That's a really gutting tweet. I just my heart sank a bit when I read that, because it's just like, he's done this before, and Matt is obviously, I get the impression, I don't want to speak on behalf of Matt, that he maybe feels a bit hurt by this.
Yeah, I think because we've seen this play out so many times in multiple companies that Jeff Hardy's worked for. It's when you kind of feel like that, you kind of hoped the worst of it would have been the Victory Road incident for TNA, when he was allowed to go out to the ring in no state to perform at all, and you kind of hope that would be the beginning, and then as it transpired it wasn't, and then to see this again, like, I'm gutted too. Like, it's such a talented guy who just seems to, there's a reluctance to almost get the help that he needs.
Perhaps. I don't know. I hope he gets well. One of the best ever. One of my favourites growing up. Just, get well soon, Jeff. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.